And you also called for the elimination of the U.S. Department of Education. In fiscal 2012, the Fitchburg Public Schools received about $2.7 million from the Department of Education. That translates, they say, to about 30 jobs in the district. If you are successful in shutting down the department, what will you say to school superintendents across the district who rely on federal education funding to balance their budgets? And Mr. Golnik, do you agree with Mr. Weaver's stance?
Yes, I want to say that when you look at waste and you look at items in the federal government that can be eliminated, yes, I'm in favor of getting rid of the Department of Education. It was created for two major purposes. Purpose number one was to improve the test scores of all the kids. That's what it was supposed to do. That hasn't happened. The second thing it was supposed to do is keep college tuition down. It hasn't done that either. College tuition has gone, if you look at the rates over since 1980, something like 400+%. Federal aid to students has gone up 400+%. It's not doing its job. I believe that the people here in Fitchburg, when you look at the $2.7 million that they got back, they've in all likelihood sent way more than that to the federal government. And yet we believe that we're going to allow the federal government to dictate and to understand what we need as an educational society. I believe that we know what we need here locally. And then instead of 31 jobs, I might point out you would probably create many more jobs had the money never gone there and then taken the handling fee. That's the problem. The other problem is with the federal government in control of all of education, if they fail, we've lost everything. I'm in favor of 50 different entities. They're called states. You don't like the education you're getting in Mississippi? Move. That's what the intent was of the federal system that we have. States doing their job the way they need to do. So yes, I believe it's going to be hard, but we need to get rid of the Department of Education.
Thank you very much. I do not believe we should get rid of the Department of Education. That doesn't mean that we can't devolve the decision-making process back down to the lowest possible level, which are the states. I happen to believe that you send $1 down to Washington, D.C. and you get 65 cents back. That doesn't make any sense. I think that educators here in Massachusetts know what's best for students in Massachusetts, not in Oklahoma, not in Texas, and not in Florida. That being said, I was asked the other day on a live chat, where in the Constitution does it say that the Education Department is allowed to be created? Well, our founding fathers certainly saw that the executive would need certain departments because with the Constitution they created 4. Now, where in the Constitution does it say that the executive can't create the Education Department? We have the FAA. That's probably a good thing. We had 4,000 planes in the air after 9/11, and within 3 hours they were all landed safely. We have the Department of Homeland Security. That's probably not something that can be devolved down to the states because we want to make sure that our borders are secure and everyone is working together. So there is a role for federal government. I think it needs to be made smaller by all means because I do believe in smaller government. And I believe decisions should be devolved to the lowest possible level, locally if possible, but if not, at least down to the states. But I do not believe in abolishing the Department of Education.
Is there anything at all that you would abolish? Because I'm having a hard time understanding how we're going to cut spending if we don't get rid of some of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. grows and grows like a tumor. They've taken, to answer your question about education, I'm very sure when they were writing the Constitution that every day they went by schools. Every day. And yet they never put it in. In fact, right before the Constitution, they have this Northwest Ordinance which says it's up to the states. That's what Congress passed then. See, the departments that come under the executive order, or come under the executive department, they're created, funded, and mandated or set up by Congress to do specific jobs. One of the problems that Congress has is they've been giving too many jobs away instead of keeping the power that they're supposed to do. I don't understand how you're going to get the savings you want if we don't get rid of the bureaucracies.
Well, we can get the savings by letting the GAO complete their audit of the full budget. If they find $600 billion in duplicative services, we're at 15 to 17% right there. But again, there is a role for federal government, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about a bloated federal government that's increased on our taxpayers' dollar, which is what we've been doing for the past 3 years. It's increased our debt load by 50%. The Constitution doesn't have anything that talks about Homeland Security either, or the FAA. But I would have to guess, and I don't know if you agree or not, but you do need those two institutions. They are important.
Well, Homeland, can I? Yeah, Homeland Security, I'm not sure that that would be something that we could do better than to have a large bureaucracy that continues to grow. It used to be border control and this and that, and yes, that is a function specifically outlined in the Constitution, that we take care of our borders against all enemies. So I understand that. We've got to go after these bureaucracies. Even Homeland Security is getting bigger and bigger. You travel as I do. Every time I go to the airport, it seems that I see more and more and more. And yet I don't feel any safer.
With that, we'll move on to the next question.